My name is Niloufar, and I'm a proud Hazara woman originally from Afghanistan. The daughter of a man who made the difficult decision to leave everything and everyone he knew behind, to get on a rickety old boat and brave the harsh conditions on the vast sea, to then experience the detention centres brimming with loneliness, and finally be settled in a country where he could not speak the language, did not have any money, and had no one he could turn to. A man who was then able to navigate a complex system to bring me, my older brother, and my mother to Australia so we could be together again. I am here tonight to give the acknowledgement of country on behalf of all the career seekers. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. As a career seeker, I've had the ability to meet and to build relationships with not just companies and colleagues, but also many others who share the same journey as me. I have had the privilege of interning at Macquarie Group for the past 3 summers, accumulating knowledge and learning life skills that I continue to implement today. I am currently undertaking a Bachelor of Business, Advanced Leadership, and a Bachelor of Laws degree at Western Sydney University. I have been exposed to multiple areas of Macquarie Group over the past few summers, and most recently interned as part of their legal team in the Business Banking Division. Macquarie is a valued supporter of both career seekers and our sister organisation, Career Trackers, which supports Indigenous university students. Macquarie's faith in the success of both organisations is a testament to their inspiring culture and their incredible people. Interning at Macquarie has given me the pleasure of meeting and working alongside many Career Tracker interns, such as Ruby and Charlene. I was able to learn about the hardships experienced by our Indigenous community and discuss the many similarities faced by our people as we are both the minority in our own country and are too often made to feel like outsiders on our own land. This experience was enhanced by the incredible opportunity I had to visit New Zealand to represent career seekers at the Tupatoa Annual Conference in 2019. Tupatoa applies the same program model as both career seekers and career trackers to connect Maori and Pacific University students to professional careers, and all 3 organisations collaborate and learn from each other. This adventure brought about discussions about our homeland, our parallel experiences in both a professional space as well as personal growth, and navigating the challenge of staying true to our identity and our heritage whilst growing up in the Australian society. This experience and the many others I have had through my involvement with career seekers has made an everlasting impact on me, and I, like many others, will be forever grateful. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate the Career Seekers program, and enjoy the evening.
If there is one thing that the past year also has taught us, it's that we are indeed all in this together. And I'm delighted that we can all be here together tonight in Sydney, and also for those tuning in on our live stream, to celebrate the new Australians who we have the privilege to meet and support through the Career Seekers program. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn Anderson, and I'm the General Manager of Career Seekers, and welcome to this year's Spotlight. I've been part of Career Seekers since the organisation started over 5 years ago now, and I could not be prouder of the impact that we're having and the opportunities we're creating for refugees and people seeking asylum as they seek to start professional careers in Australia. Thank you, Niloufar, for your acknowledgement of country. On behalf of all of the Career Seekers team, as well as the speakers that will follow me tonight, I would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet tonight, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are here with us tonight. Career Seekers is, of course, an evolution of the Career Trackers program, a program that for the past 11 years has supported Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander university students as they embark on their career. Both Career Trackers and Career Seekers are born from the vision of our founder, Michael Combs, and even though Michael has stepped away from both organisations, the 2 programs continue to collaborate. Both organisations deeply believe in the value of a diverse and inclusive corporate Australia where everyone, no matter what their background, has the opportunity to achieve professional success and fulfil their potential. One of the most pleasing aspects of this collaboration is, of course, watching our new Australians, like Nilofer, interact with the career trackers and be able to develop an appreciation and respect for our first Australians. Each year since 2016, Career Seekers has gathered together our participants, our alumni, our friends, supporters and partners for a night to celebrate the achievements of our participants, to celebrate what we are achieving together. So when I stood on stage to introduce our virtual spotlight in 2020, I feared that the momentum of this program that we had worked so hard to build was about to falter. We all know that 2020 was, well, a shocker. Australia had entered its first recession in 29 years, and even in good times, unemployment and underemployment affect some segments of the communities more so than other, and that is, of course, includes refugees. We knew that the participants in which we serve and their families would be deeply impacted by the economic downturn. So tonight, I want to thank all of our employment partners who stuck with us during these challenging times and made sure that my fears did not become reality. The weak labour market, lockdowns, working from home arrangements of 2020 unquestionably did impact our mid-career stream of our program. We want to set our participants up for success and recognise that restarting your professional career as a humanitarian entrant is hard enough, without adding a whole nother layer of complexity of having to do onboarding, training, building relationships with colleagues 100% remotely. However, as restrictions ease and the economy recovers, new hybrid working arrangements are being put in place and, I guess the whole infrastructure boom continues. We're really excited to see the rebound of interest in our program. We've got a terrific, talented pipeline of participants. Many of them are here with us tonight, and all are eager for an opportunity to start their careers. And I'm very confident that good things are ahead for this cohort in the months ahead. So in 2020, the energy of the Career Seekers team was focused on supporting our university students. And tonight, we're here to celebrate what we achieved together for those participants. In spite of all the challenges that we faced, last summer saw the biggest cohort of Career Seekers students yet. 159 young new Australians from a refugee background were provided life-changing internship opportunities during their summer holidays, a 25% increase on the previous year. Thank you for your support to have made this possible. Additionally, in an extremely challenging year for graduates entering the employment market, thanks to the additional program support that we put in place, of the 47 career seekers who graduated last year and began to seek professional employment, 90% of them have already secured professional employment. Thank you again for making this possible. But while numbers are important, tonight is definitely not about numbers. It's about people. It's about hearing from talented people who are eager to make the most of every single opportunity that they're provided with. So first up, you're going to hear from Rabab and Eid from our university student stream, followed by Ziad and Hassan from our mid-career stream, and we will conclude with Sophia from the university student stream. And I can promise you that you will be inspired by their stories and proud of the impact that we are achieving together. Let me introduce Ruby and Eid.
I would like everyone to close their eyes. Now, imagine that you are a 6-year-old child. You are woken up early in the morning. Bal shuru baba. Get up, Rabab. You look around your surroundings and you think, what is going on? The weather is so frosty that you can feel your lungs tightening with every breath. You fall asleep shortly after, and you wake up in a whole different world. You can now open your eyes. Hi everyone, my name is Rabab Jafari, and I'm a Hazara refugee from Afghanistan. Tonight, myself and my fellow career seeker, Eid Yusufi, would like to take everyone on a short journey. A journey of being a Hazara in Afghanistan to today, where our families are building new lives in Australia for ourselves and our community. I myself do not have joyful memories of my home country. I had only just been born when my father took the dangerous journey to Australia in search of safety and freedom. I was born in Chilbuktui Woqi, where the winter is unforgivingly cold and the summer blazing hot. I spent the first nearly 5 years of my life there. 5-year-old Rabab would wake up early in the morning to ensure that she was the first one in line to get water from the closest stream. Later on, I would aid my mum with the house chores, and in the afternoon, I would take the cattle to graze on the grass. The thought of receiving an education was out of the question, because the Taliban prohibited education for girls. You see, it is difficult to have hopes and dreams when your ethnic group has a death warrant on their name. The Hazaras are an ethnic minority from Afghanistan, and they make up to approximately 20% of the Afghan population. Many in the audience might think that the civil unrest in Afghanistan began because of the Taliban, but the attacks on the Hazara community started in the late 1800s. The persecution of the Hazara community started under the rule of Abdul Rahman Khan, the late king of Afghanistan. During this time, around 63% of my population were massacred, many sold as slaves, and many fled to neighboring countries such as Pakistan and Iran, where the treatment is unfortunately the same. It seems that wherever my people go in that part of the world, they are not welcome and they have to suffer the consequences of a country that does not accept us. After the withdrawal of the Soviet Union from Afghanistan in 1998, the Taliban unleashed a series of attacks on the Hazara community. Opposition to the Taliban was led by a man called Abdul Ali Mazari. This was a man who believed in the importance of education, women's rights, equality, and justice. Unfortunately, Baba Mazari was murdered by the Taliban, and the persecution against the Hazaras continued and intensified. Living in Afghanistan became unbearable for the Hazaras. The Taliban regime intensified and began to gain more control of Afghanistan. In 1998, the Taliban invaded Mazar-e Sharif and massacred around 2,000 to 5,000 Hazaras, and this figure is believed to be higher, where they would conduct house-to-house searches, segregate the Hazaras, and subsequently kill them. This is why my father took the dangerous journey to Australia by boat. For a very long time, we did not hear from him, and we lived in fear, thinking of the worst. Until one day, after many years, we received the best news of all. We would be going to Australia. My father had secured family reunification visas for us all. We would be together again. My mother and my 3 brothers travelled to Pakistan where our visas were arranged, and 6 months later, in 2005, we arrived at Melbourne International Airport. But settling to our new home was difficult. My dad took a few days off of his work as a tiler to help us, but the real lifesavers in this case was my Afghan neighbours. My mum had never used an actual kitchen before, but with the help of our Afghan neighbours, she was able to understand how to use each appliance for their intended use. Looking back, it really amazes me how quickly my mum was able to adapt to the changes. My 3 brothers and I enrolled in a language school, and after that, we started our educational journey. I must admit, throughout primary school, I struggled immensely. My parents couldn't support us because they didn't know English themselves. Slowly but surely, my English began to improve, and it was only in year 10 when I took full control of my learning. I started to attend after-school homework sessions, and my marks began to progress. I began to hold myself accountable for my learning. I'm glad to announce that I officially graduated on the 19th of March with a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in criminology, and simultaneously have just started my law journey by undertaking a Juris Doctor degree at Monash University. For any student graduating from university, the primary stress is how to obtain a graduate role and to successfully begin our career. This stress is even greater for refugee and asylum seeker students. For many of us, extra challenges are faced to successfully transition from university to our professions. These include the lack of professional networks as a result of our parents giving up their opportunity and an education in order to provide for us. Furthermore, there is extra added pressure to make the most out of the opportunity that our parents have so much to create for us. The Career Seekers program is designed to set students from refugee background up for success. Thanks to the organisations who partner with Career Seekers, we are able to gain valuable knowledge, experience, and build our professional network, and to have an encouragement to believe in ourselves. The program has enabled success for the Jafari family. My eldest brother, Muhammad Jafari, joined the program and was part of the first group of students to undertake summer internships. An internship with Macquarie Group on his CV helped him to find an opportunity to pursue his IT career following his graduation. Soon after, my middle brother, Abdul Jafari, joined the program. Studying a double degree in civil engineering and business, Abdul first interned with PwC, then undertook a number of internships with the Rail Infrastructure Alliance, delivering part of the Melbourne Metro Tunnel project. Upon graduation, Abdul secured a graduate opportunity on this project. Through their positive experiences with the program, my youngest brother, Mason, and I also joined the program, interning over our summer holidays as well as working part-time until we finish our degrees. Mason is pursuing a double degree in civil engineering and business as well, and has interned with the Rail Projects Victoria previously, and has now transitioned over to work with the Rail Infrastructure Alliance. I have interned at Mirvac in the past, and last summer I interned at Insurance Australia Group with the Human Resources team and continue to work with IAG part-time. My internships have allowed me to gain invaluable knowledge, skills, and mentors. The Career Seekers program enables students who join the program to become a family where success is celebrated and support is provided at each step of our journey. As someone who has been living in this beautiful country for nearly 16 years, I can only see the positive contributions that refugees have made to this community. I urge people to give us a chance. There are so many positive refugee stories in the community, and this is mine. Just what like Chimamanda Adichie said, the danger of a single story is that it becomes the only story. I'm grateful that there are opportunities like tonight to share stories of success from the refugee community. One story at a time, we are helping to change perceptions. Thank you for listening to my story and that of my brothers. Eid will now share his story and the hopes of our generations of Hazaras, who thanks to the sacrifices of our parents have been able to pursue our dreams in Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabab, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eid Yusufi, and tonight I will share a little of my story and explain the opportunities that Rabab and her brothers and me and my brother that have been presented are so significant to our family, community, and our futures. My family have in fact been refugees twice in our lives. Born in Afghanistan, my family was forced to flee to Pakistan because of the persecution the Hazara people faced. From the recollection of my parents' story, crossing the border was a dangerous journey in the treacherous terrain where we could have been caught any minute. Life in Pakistan was not easy. My dad was convinced that this was not the place for the family because of the frequent target killing of the Hazara people. Hence, my dad left on a perilous journey to Australia, where some have drowned or been caught attempting it. My mum was given one of the toughest responsibility of taking care of 3 boys and 1 girl in the absence of their dad. Most of us here can relate to the resilience, the strength of our mothers who went beyond to keep us happy, while our dads went through the hardship of crossing the sea, the mental challenge of just waiting and being separated while in the detention center. Sometimes we would not hear from our dad after a long period. And I often asked my mum about my dad, and she always reassured me that inshallah we will be together one day. After a few years, living in fear of being targeted every day, we get the news that our application for our visa that was lodged by my dad was accepted. We knew our life changed at that moment. We were overjoyed with emotions to be together once again. We knew life would not be easy to start over again in a country where the language is a barrier and culture different. But we knew we would be safe and supported in every aspect of life to feel welcomed. I was 6 years old when I first came to Australia. Even though I had terrible motion sickness on the plane, I was still very happy to finally be here. My dad met us at the airport, and it was the first time we would have been able to hug each other since I was a little baby. I was in awe of the massive differences between Pakistan and Australia. Everything was systematic, organized, and clean. But it took time. It took time to get to adjusted to everything, from learning the English language to not trying to get lost finding my way around. My siblings and I were fortunate to come to Australia and receive top-class education. But as we progressed through our university studies, we were uncertain whether we would be able to find our job by ourselves. We did not know anyone in our chosen profession and had little understanding of how the system worked. We heard stories of people who completed their university studies and still ended up doing unskilled work outside of the profession they had dreamed of. In his third year of university, my brother Mohsin heard about CareerSeekers that help students from a refugee background find professional experience. And he completed his summer internship with Cross Yarra Partnership, working on the delivery of the Melbourne Metro Tunnel project. He continued working with Cross Yarra Partnership whilst finishing his final year of university. And on top of that, he was able to secure a graduate role with the same project. I am also pursuing a career in engineering, and so my brother encouraged me to apply for CareerSeekers, and here I am. Having completed my summer internship with Rail Infrastructure Alliance, working on the delivery of the Melbourne Metro Tunnel project, I am fortunate to continue working as an undergraduate engineer with the same project, whilst also finishing my Bachelor of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. And inshallah, for those graduating this year or the coming years, we will be able to use the experience, the skills, and networks gained through the CareerSeekers partners and the broader CareerSeekers program to secure a graduate role. I am proud to be part of the next member of the generation Hazara community in Australia that have been given opportunities that not only have a huge impact on the individuals, but the community as a whole. We will have the experience, the knowledge, and the connection to help us give back to the community, whether through organizing events or helping the community with our respective expertise. In Afghanistan, Hazaras are too often excluded from educational and professional opportunities. As Rabab has explained, the persecution of our people dates back all the way in the 1800s. For our parents, it was too late to take advantage of the educational opportunities by the time they arrived in Australia. Our parents have struggled to master English, and our fathers have been limited to finding work that does not require formal qualification. The sacrifices of our parents have made to secure safety and opportunities for their children are all engraved in our minds. Many of us here are determined to make the most out of these opportunities, study, work hard, accomplish professional success, and most importantly, support our family as well as others in the community. The CareerSeekers program and their partners are significantly supporting us in achieving these dreams. There are so many examples of how, when given the opportunity, the Hazara people are able to transform their lives as well as rejuvenate communities. A new report released this year by the University of South Australia and Charles Sturt University reveals, I quote, "Port Adelaide was in decline 15 years ago, but the Hazara migrants have transformed the area into a thriving, multicultural, dynamic hub." This is one of many stories how the Hazara people have helped give back to this country. And I hope with continuing support, we can come together to continue to transform lives. I hope one day there will be reconciliation in Afghanistan and the Hazara people are accepted for who they are. I hope one day children of war-torn countries can enjoy the privilege that I have. And I hope one day we can embrace our differences and together use it to our advantage for our community to prevail. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ziad Asad. I am from a city called Homs, located in the middle of Syria. I am a member of the Syrian Greek Orthodox community, which is the largest and oldest Christian community in Syria. Before the current conflict, Christians made up around 10% of Syria's population. But since the war started, these long-established communities have fled. Who knows how many are left? I completed my study at Al-Bas University in Homs, graduating in 1997 with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. And like most newly graduated Syrian engineers, I wanted to travel to work abroad, specifically in one of the Arabian Gulf-rich countries. I had the first opportunity to travel to Kuwait with my elder brother, who is also a civil engineer. In January 2002, both of us started our roles as site engineers in the same company. Things went well in Kuwait until 2003, when Iraq war started. I can still clearly remember what my brother and I were doing in Kuwait after finishing our works and returning back to our accommodation. We were working on isolating all external doors and windows with polythene sheets and tapes for fear of chemical weapons attacks from Iraq to Kuwait. It was a very hard and dangerous time. In 2004, and after the growth of the company I worked for, I was offered to move to work in Sultanate of Oman for a better position. My work in Oman went well. I was happy to be achieving my goals. These goals were not in work only, but also in life. I got married in 2007. In 2009, I became a father, and our life was going smoothly until 2011, when troubles started in my country. And from then on, year after year, things went from bad to worse. We were getting a lot of bad news from Syria, full of sadness. In the year 2017, Oman went through an economic crisis, affected all sectors of work, especially construction field, which led to rising unemployment. With rising unemployment, foreign engineers were no longer welcome. In the year 2018, I was forced to leave Oman. But when I left Oman, it was not to my home country, where I dreamed of returning, reuniting with my broader family, and establishing a new life for my family and for me as well. The war in Syria made it impossible to return there. Members of my community were fleeing Syria to neighboring countries, not returning there. Instead of returning to Syria, my family and I moved from Erbil to Iraq, moved from Oman to Erbil in Iraq, and stayed there for about 9 months. It was a difficult time, as in this period, I was not able to find an engineering job. But the good thing was that we were able to obtain humanitarian visas to travel to Australia. With my family, I arrived to Australia in March 2019, and we started to rebuild our life in our new country. My first aim was searching for a job in my engineering field. I applied for many jobs via applications and emails, but I didn't receive even one phone call. Then I realized that finding a job in Australia without experience or references is hard as hell. I was really so confused until I joined CareerSeekers. Then I was confident that I am on the right way. And shortly afterwards, I received a phone call from CareerSeekers informing me that I have an interview with RVV, Rail Bridges Victoria, for a 3-month internship opportunity. I was more than happy, glad and excited to receive this phone call. Not just because RVV is a great and well-known organization, but also because my internship will be in the same field of my engineering work, although there are differences between construction and railway works. My internship with RBV was not a piece of cake. I faced challenges, such as my limited knowledge of railway system, in addition to the high volume of acronyms and abbreviations. But all that enabled me to sharpen my skills, and the internship gave me a clear idea about work in the open plan office and the importance of teamwork in Australia. It also gave me a chance to learn and use advanced technology at work. And for the first time, I realized that the environment at work is not just for work, it's also for fun and well-being. It's an environment full of respect and work ethic. And the most important thing was that, as a direct result of my internship, I have been able to secure an engineering role at RBV in the network development team. Without this internship, I might still not have found work, or I might settle for a job far away from my many years of experience in engineering. Of course, I feel happy for this because it had a great positive impact on my family and me. It helped our settlement in Australia. We feel that we are safe, secure, and belong to this amazing country, where we live in peace. My kids are at school, have made friends, and are doing well. The future for them is bright. We are so grateful to be together here in Australia, but every day we think of our family back in the Middle East, where life continues to be so hard for them. My mother and one of my siblings remain there, facing terrible shortages of the basics: food, fuel, electricity, medicine, or even water, all made worse by COVID-19 pandemic. And my remaining two brothers are still suffering in Gulf countries in these very bad circumstances. We try and send support to all of them where we can. For me here in Australia, I will keep working to improve my skills and to achieve my future goals. Also to help my organization deliver on these big projects that are improving lives for Victorians. And for my family, I hope we will soon be able to rebuild our new life in our new country, which we feel we are part of it. And our mission is to be loyal, effective, and contribute to building a great Australia. I also will not forget to wish good luck for my wife, Nada, who is recently joined CareerSeekers program. Nada also studied civil engineering and is about to start an internship with Alexa RB, level crossing removal projects. I wish her all success in her career and to achieve her goals. Finally, I would like to say a massive thanks to RBV and to my network development team for their efforts and support. And I would like to mention Paul Harris, Simon Blatt, and Mark Miller. Thanks to everyone's efforts at RBV, you have helped me to so quickly feel welcome in my new workplace and in my new home, Australia. Thank you, Career Seekers, and thank you all for listening.
Good evening. I am Hassan Ismail. I was born and I grew up in Latakia, a beautiful coastal city in Syria. I have had a big passion for IT since my childhood. That's why I chose to study computer networks and systems in my hometown city, with a big ambition for a career in this domain. And I started my early work experience during college years. After graduation, I moved to Damascus for work while continuing my study in digital and web technologies. Life in Syria at that time was safe and stable, and we, the young people, were seeing a promising future waiting for us. But in 2011, war started. And it was a shock for all of us. No one was expecting or thinking that this might happen to our country. When the war reached Damascus, I went back to Latakia. I thought there I would be safe before realizing that the impact of that conflict will arrive soon in Latakia and other Syrian cities. Witnessing the situation getting more dangerous and worse day after day, my dream of establishing a safe and prosperous career and life in my country started to disappear, despite the attempts to convince myself of that will be only a short delay. And it was not only me who tried to convince myself of this. I think all Syrians at that time were still hoping and believing that we will get back to our normal life and this will pass quickly. I stayed in Latakia for a year, working as manager of web development in an IT company. The economic situation was tumbling so quickly that all businesses, small and big, were suffering, and ours was no exception. But more important was the danger and the fear of the unknown, scary tomorrow, leaving us with two options only: to stay home, suffer and risk our lives, or to live somewhere safe where we would need to start our career and life from scratch. Rationally, it was an easy decision, but emotionally it was and will always be a difficult one to take. Home is not where you sleep. Home is where you stand. We left home looking for a home where we can stand, where we can live, grow, and dream of a safe future for us and for our families. I moved to Kurdistan region in north of Iraq in 2013, which was safe at that time, and there was only a very small Syrian community there. A new place, new people, different culture, no family, no friends, no job. All these things made me feel as weak as I never felt before. And it was a very tough first year in Iraq, trying to find a job, making friends, and thinking of restarting my life in a new place. In my second year, I started working as an IT officer for an engineering consulting company, and I was able to bring my brother to Iraq. And later, my sister joined us. In June 2014, ISIS invaded Iraq, and what I thought might be our new home started to be in the same situation of instability and danger. I remember a day we were evacuated from our offices when ISIS were only a few kilometers away. Many companies closed, expats started to flee the country, but for us, there was no place to go to. Realizing that we needed to start to look for a new home, I applied to come to Australia with my sister. And after more than a year of waiting with no response, I started to lose the hope of getting the visa. And I had to keep looking for other destinations. In September 2017, the Iraqi central government decided to stop all international flights from and to north of Iraq, where we were living. At that time, I was working for Sanofi, an international pharmaceutical company, as the IT head in the affiliate. And I had to take an urgent flight to Paris to transfer the company data and deliver it to the corporate security team before the airport closure. And later, the company closed their offices in Iraq. Being in France on a temporary visa with no way to return back to Iraq, I tried to find a job, or at least to extend my stay in France, which was too difficult. I moved to Lebanon and tried to do the same, also with no luck. In the end, I was admitted to a master's degree in data science at university in Rome. I moved to Rome, lived there, studying full-time, and trying to restart my life again in a new place. Looking for a job, which I wasn't able to secure. And with the flights are open again, I returned back to Iraq in 2019. Shortly after that, I received a call from the Australian consulate informing me that my sister and I were granted the visa. We arrived in Sydney in May 2019, and I still remember that day in detail. The first moments, the emotions, the fears, and the cautious happiness, thinking of reestablishing our life again in a new place, among new people, within new society, different culture. Things were never easy, despite going through the previous stages in our journey. But at least this time, we were able to do this together. We spent the first weeks discovering, finding home, looking for a job, applying for too many roles in the first 2 months with no success. I realized the difficulty that we would need to go through in order to be able to restart again. Our friends told us about career seekers and advised me to reach out to them, as they already helped my friend to find a job and restart their professional career in Australia. Career Seekers helped me, Career Seekers program and team gave me the most important push that I needed at that time, the self-confidence and the hope of finding the job. Career Seekers helped me to understand about the professional workplace environment in Australia and about the diversity and the inclusiveness of the society and how to build on my previous skills in my new journey. When Career Seekers called informing me about an opportunity for an internship at Goodman Fielder in IT, I knew that this was the opportunity I needed. After 2 rounds of interviews, I was accepted for a 12-week internship. During my internship, I learned practically about the culture, about the work environment. I built my networks of friends and colleagues. And also, I improved my knowledge, my technical and business knowledge. And at the end of the internship, I was offered a permanent role at Goodman Fielder as IT project manager and business analyst. These things would not have been easy to do without the support and the help from my manager and my colleagues in Goodman Fielder. When moving to a new country, one tries to feel the stability and to integrate in the new society. This can be achieved by getting friends, learning about the country and the cultures, and getting a stable income. But on top of that, feeling their worth and values by being productive and contributing to the community they live in. And the shortcut to all this was to start working. And this is what I came out of my internship experience at Goodman Fielder. And now I am excited that my sister will have the same opportunity. Her focus to date has been on improving her English, but now she's also ready to restart her professional career. I wish her the same success I have had. With a permanent role at Goodman Fielder, I have been able to enroll in a master's program to continue my study in data science, strategy, and leadership, and I'm aiming to complete by December this year. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Goodman Fielder for opening the door for me to start my professional career in Australia, and to Irma Behrens, my manager, for the support, the help, and the guidance from my day one until now. Finally, here I am standing in my new home. Thank you.
When you hear the word refugee, what comes to your mind? Hi, my name is Sophia. This is my story. And at the end of my story, I'm going to tell you what comes to my mind when I hear the word refugee. I was born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. My parents, who are both Eritreans, were a middle-class family living in Ethiopia at the time. They were successful business people raising 4 children, including my 2 brothers, my sister Winta, who is also a career seeker, and myself. But the war between the 2 sibling countries, Ethiopia and Eritrea, at the time was only getting worse. Our family was targeted by the Ethiopian soldiers, as my father had fought in the Eritrean War of Independence, a 30-year conflict between successive Ethiopian governments and the Eritrean independence fighters. So we had to flee Ethiopia. leaving everything behind, just like the many Eritreans who were established in the country. Although we had lost relatives in the war, my immediate family was one of the few lucky families across the country who hadn't lost one of their members to the 30-year-long struggle of independence. Starting afresh in Eritrea was not easy for us. Finding food, shelter for 4 children when you don't have any cash to your name is a struggle. All my parents' documentations, work history proof, or any identity was left behind in Ethiopia. The uncertainties of war also made it very hard to live in Eritrea. So my father decided to take my 2 brothers with him as he looked for better opportunities outside the country. The idea was initially to find a better place to live, and my mom would follow with me and Winter. But our family has not been able to be reunited ever since. I don't count the years we have been apart because my hope is to count the years we'll be together after we meet. I was told about our journey to Eritrea and all the struggles my parents had to endure as I was too young to remember. My memories start from joining school in Eritrea, and I had nothing but good memories growing up. My mother did beyond what was possible to feed, clothe, and send my sister and I to school. On Saturdays, my sister and I went to church, to the kids' ministry programs, and my mom would go to the Sunday adult service. We became devoted in our faith as we found hope and peace that was taken from us due to our family being separated in different countries and not hearing about my dad and brother's whereabouts. If you have heard about Eritrea before, you will know about the oppression and lack of freedom that exists in this small African country. Soon our churches were shut and persecution of Christians has started. I remember one fine Saturday in particular. As we went ahead in our usual children's programs, a group of police officers stormed the compound, arresting our teachers and huddled together. We were taken to the police station. We stayed at the station for a day, and those of us who were under 14-year-old at the time were picked up by our parents with a warning not to attend the church again. And those above 14-year-old were taken to prisons, together with the Bible teachers and pastors. As I stand before you today, some of the people imprisoned on that day remain behind bars without any trial, and in the worst possible prisons, some underground and in the dark. After a few years of worshiping in hiding, the lack of freedom became more and more apparent. More prisons were built than schools, basic human rights were being denied, and an indefinite national service was introduced for everyone who completed high school. In 2009, my mother decided she made the tough decision to leave the country, as she could not see any future for us there. We fled once again to Kenya. We became urban refugees in Kenya, which meant that we could stay in the city and not in the refugee camps. I finished my primary school there, and both Winter and I received scholarships that were available for refugees who excelled in the national exams for year 8. We stuck together throughout high school at a boarding school in a place called Ukambani. Kenya is a very beautiful country. I still dream of going back there as a tourist to enjoy all the wildlife, beautiful waterfalls, and landscapes. You see, in my years there, I never visited those places because they are not necessities. As refugees, we live to survive, and we survive to live. During my high school years, I knew my chances of going ahead with tertiary education was very limited because university fees are very expensive there. But I worked hard as if there was a place reserved under my name in one of the Kenyan universities. I was top in my school, and my dream of stepping to uni was very much alive because I trusted that God will provide me an opportunity. After a year of waiting, we received the good news that the UN would resettle us here in Australia. I remember when we heard the news, Winter and I agreed not to celebrate too much because it was simply too good to be true. That way, in case it did not happen, we don't get our hearts broken. I knew that coming to Australia would provide me the opportunities that I haven't found anywhere else growing up. I joined Deakin University in 2017, and I'm currently in my final semester of completing a double degree in commerce and arts, majoring in accounting and public relations. My sister Winter went to Monash to complete actuarial science, and we both will be finishing in June. And for the first time, we went to a different place of study. We both joined CareerSeekers in 2018, where I completed my first internship with the Commonwealth Bank as an analyst. And in 2020, I joined Broad Spectrum, now Ventia, in the community and stakeholder engagement team. Winter interned in various companies, including Macquarie Bank, Future Partners, and recently IAG. Being an intern in these big companies has helped me to know my potential as an individual. Utilizing all the support I get from career seekers has boosted my confidence. I have been working in a very supportive team in Ventia, and I got to expand my professional network as I embark to the next stage of my journey. I complete my degree in June and hope to continue to work in the community and stakeholder engagement. As we begin to build our careers, my sister and I make sure to stick together to inspire one another. This is a lesson we got from our mom. I have seen firsthand the impact of separation by being away from one half of our family. My father and 2 brothers now live in Tanzania, and I'm hopeful that a day will come when we will be in each other's arms once more. Winter and I are forever indebted to our mother, who has gone through so much but always kept us together and made so many sacrifices to provide us as many opportunities as she possibly could. Now let me go back to the question I asked you at the beginning. What comes to your mind when you hear the word refugee? When I hear the word, what comes to my mind is dreams, potential, resilience, and hope. These are the things my journey gave me. As I finish, I would like to thank Career Seekers for the chance to achieve my dreams, potential, and for giving me hope for my future. Thank you, Ventia and IAG, for being amazing workplaces for both Winter and I. We are hopeful of what we'll both be able to achieve next with this experience behind us. Thank you so much.
Wow. What an impressive young woman Sophia is, and I think we all know where she gets that determination from. I am simply in awe of Sophia and Winter's mother, Sunite. Her courage and strength as a woman and mother is truly an inspiration, as is the courage and strength of all of our speakers that were here tonight. So if I could ask all of our speakers to please join me back on stage so we can acknowledge once more your achievements. Entwined in a number of the stories that we heard tonight were stories of quests to be together, to try and keep families together in situations which most of us in this room cannot even begin to fathom. Given the theme of tonight's spotlight, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the participants in our program who, despite every effort, have been separated from members of their immediate families, sometimes for long periods. Even without considering COVID and border closures, if you are here in Australia and separated from family members due to extraordinarily difficult circumstances and had to leave loved ones behind in dangerous parts of the world, even in normal times, securing visas for those left behind is a costly, lengthy and complex process. It can take years. Family of humanitarian arrivals receive no priority, no matter the risks these family members face each and every day, living in fear of persecution, violence, conflict, and in some cases poverty. And on top of that, a policy is in place that essentially prevents family reunion applications for people who arrive in Australia by boat, particularly impacting those who arrived in the period just before offshore processing was reintroduced. Given Nilafar, Rabab and Eid's fathers secured visas for them, their siblings and mother after arriving by boat before this policy had been put in place, I'm no policy expert, but I can't help but say, really? I reckon those Siddiqui, Jafari and Yusufi kids are pretty awesome, and Australia is lucky to have them. And given 5 of them turned out to be engineers, and we are consistently being told that the infrastructure boom is what's going to solve all of our economic problems, I'm sure there might be a few infrastructure and construction project directors here tonight that would agree. So we've heard tonight from our career seekers about the critical role that employment has played in their settlement process, what being in meaningful employment and pursuing professional dreams means for individuals, families and communities. So let's turn our focus back on what we're achieving together. What we're achieving for the segment of humanitarian entrants with professional qualifications and experience in their country of origin, who we are supporting to restart their professional careers here in Australia, people just like Ziad and Hassan. What we're achieving for the young people who arrived as part of our humanitarian program, who due to the extra challenges that they face, need that extra support to be able to reach their full potential. People just like Nilafar, Rabab, Eid and Sophia. It's a long-term game, but we know that the more people from a refugee background who we can help enter and succeed into professional workplaces, the more opportunities that will be created and the easier it will be for those who follow. And importantly, that is how perceptions of what it means to be a refugee will begin to change. The formal part of the evening is now wrapping up, but please stay around to celebrate our collective success. There's plenty of food and drinks outside, and you'll get to meet some of our inspiring career seekers who are here with us tonight, all very eager to build their professional network in Australia. For some of our larger partners, please keep an eye out for your organisation's signs so that you know where to gather and you can catch up with your colleagues and also the interns. Across both of our program streams, both the university student stream and the mid-career stream, collectively we're changing the life trajectory of individuals, families and communities. And for our employment partners, there continues to be plenty of reasons to engage with career seekers. Whether that be to access a pipeline of diverse talent, achieve workforce participation and social inclusion targets on infrastructure and construction projects, or build your employer brand to attract and retain purpose-driven millennials who are motivated by organisations who support programs like Career Seekers, or simply to drive engagement with your team. There's undoubtedly plenty of reasons to continue to engage with career seekers and provide opportunities to our talented participants. Thank you again for your support and for joining us here tonight. We are making a difference, and I hope we will continue to build on this success together. Good night.